So who is in the room? So join the Mentimeter. You see the link in the chat, or you can see here the QR code. Are you joining? Give me reactions. How's it going? Okay.
I think
So
the Mentimeter only have two bottoms. That's why maybe it's we're not sure what to do. So I either press on two bottoms, but there is no place to kind of write the text if that's the expectation.
I'm going to now move the slides. Thank you for giving me feedback. Okay. Now you should see something, a question.
Well, as I understand, I think we have to register first and then we can write something in. So
Okay.
that might be the case. But
people manage to be in. So you should be able to access with this link that I put in the chat, or I can give you the code. But anyhow, like you can also write in the chat and answer directly the question if you didn't manage. No worries. Thank you, Asghar.
It's working
who
now.
are you? Are you a student or an inspiring entrepreneur, an impact entrepreneur, a freelancer, in transition, figuring things out in your life, secretly building your next unicorn? Okay, I see quite some impact entrepreneurs. So I would love to hear then more your opinions. We see, of course, a lot of students, more entrepreneurs, some people in transition as well. Nice. Wait, a couple of more. Okay, more people in transition. Okay, so the students, aspiring entrepreneurs, impact entrepreneurs. So it's nice we have like a mix of people. Let me just go to the next question then. So if you're an entrepreneur, what kind of entity are you, legal entity are you operating from? I guess if you are based in Germany or if you are based somewhere else, you can also write in the chat, you know, maybe there might be some different definitions. I saw, Asghar, you're working on health, longer health and good mental conditions. Okay, we're going to see later. Okay, so I see one Verein, quite some GmbHs. Okay, still exploring options. It's maybe some of our entrepreneurs are in this space. Sole proprietorship, UG, GmbH. Okay, quite vast. Okay, quite various. So it's good to know, because it's also usually the nature of the Genossenschaft. Yes, you're right, Marcus. We didn't put it because it's very rare within the entrepreneurs that we work with, but I think you are the one who can share very good examples on Genossenschaft and AG. But definitely, I know you're right. Thank you, Marcus. Yes. Okay. And moving on to the next question. Yeah, exactly. So what kind of funding options are you considering for your venture? If you already thought about.
Yeah, I think you need you need to go back, I guess, because we have a different question here.
You have already the cause?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, there's a delay in my internet, I think. Yeah, I need to go back. Wait a moment. Or just answer this question, and then we're going to see later. Yes, yeah. I see already people are starting answering this question. Okay, so we have quite a proportion of mental health. Very interesting. education, rising, circular economy, food and agriculture, community building, arts and culture. Okay. Oh, wow, interesting. Community building, food and agriculture, growing, let's see. Well, it's interesting that we have such a good, like a big proportion on people working on mental health. And if some, of course, courses are missing, just type them in the chat. Anytime you see something missing, type it in the chat, as Marcus did before. Because indeed we went a little bit on what we received, but it's, maybe there might be others. Nice, very interesting. Yeah, so I really wanted to get a little bit a bit of like a feedback on who is in the room. And now I'm gonna get back one moment, sorry. I'm not really a big lover of Zoom, as you can see. There we are. So I just wanted to get a little bit like a background, and then we're going to dive into the session and a little bit like what is social business as well. You might have been asked. Some of you maybe are more familiar with it, but some of you are less. The definition comes from Professor Yunus, and what he says is always that there's two kind of businesses. One is more really like to make money. The other one is really to change the world. So if you want to just interpret it like this. And social business is really there with the objective to focus on social environmental problems first and putting those problems at the focus, and then finding a sustainable business model to handle them. And this is a bit like how we see social business. Because of this nature, it has always been associated more with maybe like the global south. Because it was more associated to bringing access to energy, nutrition and water, housing, access to housing and sanitation, because in the end, like from where it developed in Bangladesh, this is really what happened and the amazing impact that it had on the community at systemic level. But we do find a lot of examples of social businesses also in Europe, and that's where I will focus a little bit more today on. But what it really is really like it works like a normal business. So it has a sustainable business model, and that's always where we really focus the attention on. It is striving in an effective way and with efficiency. It is like usually an incorporated company with a legal form, pay taxes. But the difference is that the profit of the company is not going back to the investors, but remains within the company, and it's reinvested to continue increasing impact and making the company grow. And the reason why sometimes the big difficulty, that's also why I asked you about the legal form, right? Because in many countries, like the legal form and identification of social businesses in a legal way has been a bit like the difficulty, and that's why in Europe especially, but also like in other countries, we always find social businesses more like in the form of GmbHs or like Vereins, so this form as well. Or we find more and more GmbHs, so social enterprises that are growing, and foundations giving money also to these social enterprises, or like funds which are for social businesses going also to GmbHs. So the landscape is really changing, and that's why I wanted to put a little bit of a focus on this. I see some something writing. We will receive the presentation at the end. I will send you the presentation to all of you who registered, as well as links where you can find different fundraising opportunities. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a moment on social business. No, yes, and also give you some data. So according to the latest data also from the World Economic Forum, there's more than 10 million social enterprises worldwide that are really actively contributing to the SDGs, employing over 200 million people and creating 2 trillion in annual revenue, just also to give like, you know, a size to what we're talking about. And when we look at the data in Europe, 10% of all the businesses in Europe are categorized as social economy enterprises. There's different definitions, of course, and in Germany specifically, the government has done really like a big step ahead in really defining more specifically what like a social enterprise, Sozialunternehmen is, and the so-called gemeinwohlorientierte Unternehmen. And these account for over between 156,000, 172,000 social businesses that employ over 3 million people. And just to give you a bit also like a dimension, this is 3 times what directly the automotive industry employs. And of course, there you have like a huge variety of organizations, making also like over 80 billion in annual revenues. I will send you all the links also of all these data, but just to put everything also in a dimension. If we, according to one of the latest, which is actually already a little bit outdated, it's more like reports out there, but according to the latest UNEP reports, if we want to achieve the Agenda 2030, I'm not going into the detail of these terms. I guess maybe you know it. Otherwise, I'm going to send you also some link on this. But we would need $7 trillion just investments annually until 2030 to deal with global challenges out there. And if we consider, for example, some specific sectors accelerating, for example, health, education, poverty alleviation, gender equality, clean water, climate action, this would be 3.9 trillion per year. So as you can see, if we want to, reach these goals and really like speed up impact in this direction, there's the need for really huge investments. And Europe has been really having a leading role in this. So according to the Impact Europe latest report from December, impact investments in Europe have really like grown by plus 20% since 2022. And this has been also like due also to, for example, a more favorable regulatory environment, the fact that there are more institutional and retail investors that are investing as well. There's also different hybrid models, investment models. So what I was telling you as well, like more philanthropic organizations are moving into impact investments. There is also like a better understanding in Europe of impact management, impact measurement as well, and especially the ecosystems are really cohesive. I like to say it's a nice big bubble, but these ecosystems are really very collaborative. And I think also Marcus here from the Impact Hub is one of the biggest impact ecosystems as well that we have. Where do these investments mainly go? Environmental conservation, renewable energy has been, of course, on the growth in leading in Europe. Education, affordable housing, healthcare, sustainable agriculture, and food systems. So this is where mainly these investments are going, but of course, like there's different, depends on the various organizations as well. And Germany has been, of course, one of the key investors, and the 45% almost of the funds from Germany are also flowing outside of Germany. So this showing also, for example, I know many of you, some of you are developing social businesses, for example, more in Africa or in South Asia. There are donors also here that you could look at. It's still like really, really challenging, and I don't want to motivate you, so we're gonna also talk about like good tips. But it's something that also I was at the Social Innovation and Gemeinwohlorientierte Unternehmen Forum last week, organized by the government. And it's something that we keep like saying it is a big lack of funding in the sector, and also because it's not clear. Okay, where are the borders, right? The legal entities are so diverse, so it's really difficult to understand how to allocate these funds. There's a weak lobbying in the sense that, of course, social enterprises don't have this big lobby as well. So the financial policy that comes from it to support those frameworks is sometimes is of course insufficient. There's a lot of bureaucracy. I'm going to also show you some alternatives to very bureaucratic funding as well. You can go into, and of course, when you go into impact investments, this is developing. But whenever you reach out to angel investors or investors, of course, there's always this skepticism, right, towards financial returns. And I faced it as well now, going back into the intermediate, so to say, world coming from the social business, fully social business side. So this is a little bit why it is really hard for social businesses to raise funds. And that's also why from the social business network, we always really urge entrepreneurs to develop sustainable business models and really focus on their self-sustainability, because that was what is going to help in first hand. And then, of course, like, so the solutions are still there to get finance, but it's always in continuous like uncertainty, and like we have gone on like the verge of a lot of confusion and a lot of like anxiety in the past months, because like things are changing like fast, and but at the same time it's hard to see what kind of effect is going to come on the impact investment side. So we've been asking, okay, what are these policies and all of these actions, from the US having on impact? Because we see companies that are stepping down from their diversity, equity, and inclusion plans, from their like climate objectives. We saw, for example, like big investment firms getting out of net zero alliances for asset managers, for management, for example. So, and of course, you saw the big public fund cuts that happened, are really hampering a lot the work of international organizations and foundations. So, what is going to happen for finances for social businesses? There were services, so it's still early to say in Europe the effect what is going to be. There were services where like still European investors were still concerned, and they wanted to stay within their ESG and the sustainability practices, of course, but and some of them would actually say that they would increase their support, others that they would maintain it, but it's still hard. So in this, continuously uncertain scenario, how can we navigate the landscape? So I came up with some tips for you. So I'm also happy to hear anybody, in the room, if you have any suggestions as well, just feel free to share them. Yeah, so there's some premises, of course, and that's also why these are supposed to be any like tips. But then, of course, the way in which you approach your fundraising strategy and you decide to diversify, it really depends on indeed how you're registered. Sometimes it does play a role. The problem you're solving. So some fundraising strategies work more for example, education of social businesses or social businesses in health. Others work more for green tech. For example, in the climate tech sphere, there's a lot of investments that are going in that direction from impact investors. So it's really going to depend. It depends also on your solution, how you're structuring it, your business model. And of course, also where you're registered, because maybe you're registered in Germany, but maybe you're registered somewhere else, or you operate also somewhere else. So this is really going to affect your fundraising strategies and who you're targeting, who are your beneficiaries, your customers. This is also going to have an effect on how you decide how to structure your fundraising strategy. I would present you so just the same way you have non-dilutive and dilutive funding. I'm going to explain in a little bit the difference if you're not familiar with it. Also in social businesses, you do have these two solutions. And usually the tendency, especially at the beginning, we always urge to go to more non-dilutive funding. At the beginning, you want to maintain the control of your social business and maintain the control on your impact strategy. So we suggest always to go loans. It depends, of course, on the conditions, but there's public funds and grants, donations, crowdfunding. Sometimes companies give the donations as well, even if like it's changing maybe a little bit right now. And on the other side, there are incubators and accelerators that are also offering some possibilities for funding, impact investors, and impact VCs are starting to grow as well. What is dilutive and non-dilutive funding? So just in the same way, normal funding indeed it depends on the kind of like impact on the ownership. So with dilutive funding, of course, you give stakes of your ownership, so you have less control because you give like equity, you get the equity investments. And on the side of non-dilutive funding, instead, you maintain full control because these are just small in the form of smaller amounts, but you don't have. Maybe you have to repay the principal, so the amount, but you don't have to pay interest the interest, but you don't have to pay, for example, dividends, of course, to the shareholders. I want to go a bit like faster on this because I would love also in case, to hear from you. And at the end, we're going to have 2 entrepreneurs from our cohort who are going to pitch as well. So the first part, government funds. And in Germany in particular, there is quite some government funds which are like given for entrepreneurs. I listed some that we can go through below. But there's different levels, of course, of grants that you can look at. So grants at the federal level or the state level or even at local levels. And on what to choose, it really depends on also the geography at which you operate, how big you are. So there's different elements that are going to affect here what to choose. And also many of these grants are sector specific, so you might want to really check the specificities of these grants. What is really, really important is this is really like it's a job almost. So writing grants can really be like very time intensive. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved. So we really suggest, so not only you have to really be specific and tailor your proposal to the grant's objective and be very, very precise, and also especially quantify your impact at the community level, at ecosystem level. But there's a lot of documentation that is needed to provide this grant. So what we always suggest is to get help. I'm going to send you a link to an AI-based platform that supports in writing grants. We also have a contact of an agency. There's a lot of possibilities out there, organizations that can support. They don't get any money until you get the grant. The good thing of grant is that they can also be very big. For example, we had a social business in our cohort. I don't know if Gino is here today, but the guys got 8 million in the region of the Elbe Valley. So it was a wider grant, especially if you come with a consortium of other organizations. There's good chances to get these grants. So you can get quite some millions, but this comes also at a later stage, like these big amounts. At the beginning, you still have some possibilities. As a HfWU campus, for example, we offer the Exist-Gründung Stipendium. Do you guys also offer it from the WHU, Max? From the Entrepreneurship Center?
Sorry, Mary, I didn't get that question. Can you please repeat it again?
Yeah, do you also give the Exist-Gründung Stipendium from the WHU?
It's not known to me. I think Maximilian Eckel would be the person to ask this question.
Okay.
But Exist what I know is they also have this yearly round of scholarship rounds.
Yeah.
So that is something which I'm known of, but whether it's specific to WHU, I'm not really sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because exactly this is a good, for example, solution if you're starting how it works is that you get a monthly salary for 1 year to develop your idea. It has to be more into already some innovation direction. But it's a good way to start. There is also an Exist Women stipendium as well that we do at the campus. And of course, to access this, you need to be I think you need to be maximum 5 years after you finished your studium, or you need to be a Wissenschaftler, so anyhow around the university. There's the KfW, the bank within the bank house Verantwortung has, but they also give some loans, how do you call it? Sorry, I'm mixing German and Italian and English in my head, but they are loans with specific conditions for founders and especially for social enterprises as well. There's always the interest involved, so you need to always check the conditions for this kind of loans, but these are always also suggested. I will send you also 2 links where you can see the Datenbank. Maybe you already know it, where you can find all possible grants, and there is also another new KI-based solution that is also gathering a lot of these grants. Sorry, I see a question or a comment in the chat. State Bank, Dankeschön, Marcus. It's good to have Marcus here as well in the chat. Anytime, feel free to unmic yourself as well. Thank you so much. Exactly. So is somebody give me some reactions? Is somebody thinking of going for grants. You were saying before. I don't see too many reactions. Okay. Ah, yes, I do see some. Okay. Annabelle. Okay. Yeah, Annabelle, you are in Exist Women, I think, right? In the area as well. Good.
Yes, yes, we met at the event.
Yes, nice. Good. I'm figuring out, okay, how to move. So donations, donations from public, private foundations. I also put, of course, companies. This is also a good way to start from. The only thing is that it can be quite competitive, but also I see a lot of social businesses that are just reaching out to foundations, cold calls and just sending their pitches, etc. That is a strategy that doesn't work with foundations. So if you go with foundations, my humble experience is you really need to build the relationships with them. So if you join maybe their events, you join some like specific moments that they organize, specific programs that they organize, but you really need to build the relationship, or you need to make yourself really like seen, and then they might reach out to you because they want to support you in case, but this is usually the way it works. And with foundations, what you really need to underline is your mission, values, really your impact. Also the kind of ranges. I saw social businesses going out to foundations and asking immediately super high amounts. You need to build a relationship first, and then it might and also like really go targeting foundations that are really focused on your mission, your geography, your really focused area. So just like for companies, look out for the reports for really the causes that they're focused on, and be really a bit more vertical. So usually for educational projects, culture, science, in alleviation of poverty, for example, there's a lot of programs that are supported by foundations. I included a link with all the like a list of any charitable foundation that you can find in Germany. There is also the link from the Bundesstiftung for engagement and Ehrenamt as well, that they're gathering a lot of call for funds from foundations. I would my strategy personal also that I follow is that I follow the right people on LinkedIn for both fund donations, but for any of these ways of looking for funds. Follow the right people on LinkedIn, because then they share a lot about open calls. Follow communities. If you're, for example, working more in the global south, there is the Justice Funds community that also shares a bunch of open calls every week. I follow this guy, Nick Martin. He's from the US though, so more for global programs. And with all the mess happening a little bit in the past weeks with all the public funds and donations cuts from the US, he was sharing all the different links of foundations that are stepping up and that are increasing funds. So these are also, if you just write hashtag foundation stepping up, you find a lot of, for example, of these kind of content. This can be quick strategies to maybe find also some sorry, I'm looking in the chat. Yeah, I'm coming to the business angels in a minute, Marcus. Thank you. And indeed, exactly, very, very important point is that here foundations work if you are no profit, as I also said here in the right. Even though, as I said before, the foundations are opening to also support social enterprises, but for the law in Germany, there's always a no-profit in the middle or some sort of intermediary. So foundations cannot give directly to non-NGOs. Exactly. Feel free to interrupt anytime, raise your hand if you have questions. Huh? I'm doing a monologue, but it's going to end soon, I promise. Companies. Here, from a point of view of companies, because my personal experience also here, if you want to get direct donations or work, so you work directly with companies, there's a lot of time you get, for example, kind of goodies free codes to their platforms or some in-kind donations. That's easy with companies. Donations, you need to also there have like some relationships. What I wanted to share with you, something that has been growing in the social business ecosystem, is the so-called social green or circular, there's different like names depending on the kind of social business, procurement. So instead of, going and begging for donations, and that's also something that, like as a social business, you need to do business. At the end of the day, you are like based on a specific business model. These are models that are growing. So, and that there's like organizations like the Yunus Environment Hub, for example, is organizing the Circular Impact program here in Germany to support social businesses which are dealing with circular economy. And I saw some of you are here. To sell to B2B. So they support you for 1 to 2 to 3 years. So the program is 3 years to really find B2B customers. And that's like, of course, like in terms of the size of the money, it's really like a variable. So it really depends on the kind of deals, how you structure your business model, and how you then like create long-term, like the capability of creating long-term contracts. Just mind when you apply this, of course, that you don't end up, for example, in, so working with companies can be a bit hard because they follow different logics, of course. They follow also different payment terms. And as a social business, you really need like to be cash like friendly, or like to really have cash in there. So like just be mindful of the payment terms that you agree with companies if you have this kind of agreements. And also there sometimes I see social businesses claiming, yeah, but then if we claim that we are too social or green, etc., then they don't really want to work with us, etc. So what you really need to highlight with companies is the shared value. It's really like you're bringing value for them if you want to work with them. But then really be mindful not to miss your focus on your impact, because it's easy then to enter into that a bit more like pressure dynamic, following, cash following deals that you then miss, for example, your impact direction. This is one thing that I wanted to share. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, I would suggest it if you have more like, so there are some platforms like Global Giving, they do crowdfundings if you have more of a no-profit model. So maybe you do find donors and companies there with which you can work. But for more product-based ventures, if you have really like a product that you're developed or like really a concept, you have more potential for a crowdfunding campaign. And in here, what you really need to do is a compelling campaign. So this is more really about, not necessarily, I mean, social media is a lot involved, of course, but it's really like about how you present your product, having a clear message, a clear value proposition, engaging visuals, and of course, thinking of the way it works crowdfunding is that you give rewards to the backers. So think about what kind of rewards are you going to give. Free workshops or I don't know, like some products. If you're developing a product, you're going to give first products, etc. So think about these aspects. And also here, the amount of funds that you can get is very variable. So I saw social businesses raising 100,000 through crowdfunding, some raising 30K. It really depends on how much you need, because sometimes the risk is that if you ask too much and then you have an amazing campaign, but then you lose yourself on the way. Or sometimes maybe some social businesses that they go a bit more like, okay, let's start slower. What do we need to do the first steps and start testing your business model, etc. And those are also like good crowdfunding campaigns at the very beginning. Is always something that if you have the right business model, you can go with. I put here also some examples. Of course, you might know them already. Start Next, Indiegogo, Kickstarter. And for each platform, you might have different dynamics, different rewards approach. What you need to check always, apart from, of course, the effort of really creating the campaign, is the cost, because there might be some fees, some percentages that they retain. So just make this computation for you. But it's also a really good way to test your product and see how it resonates, because at the end you have, so to say, normal people there baking your project, right? Yeah. Incubators, as I said, here, so for social impact, I had people asking me, okay, where can I go if I have a social business? Also there it depends. So they are not many. The Impact Hub, they do have very specific, for example, programs, but they are only in some cities, of course. I don't know if they do also online programs, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. The ones I know, they don't do that. But the thing is that they're very specific, and of course they are like local. So you need to, if you are, for example, in you're building your social business in a more remote place, it's harder, of course, might be harder to access these programs, but there are some programs online. And also universities and research institutions, they offer this kind of like incubation and acceleration programs. I told you about the Exist. I will share also a link where you can find more. The good value, and I always suggest people to start with incubators and accelerator, because you really get mentorship, you get resources, you get a network. Sometimes you do get small fund amounts of seed funding, so it depends. Some of them offer them, some of them they offer small amount in equity, some of them they offer this convertible note, so that becomes equity after a certain objective is achieved after a certain time. So they're very diverse, and they are very vertical on specific sectors. So diversity and inclusion, or only women programs, or circular economy. So just find, in case, the one that is good for you. And this is more if you have these are more like ad hoc if you have kind of like a business model, less of a no-profit approach, but it depends, and more of a really social enterprise approach. So here, really look at what they offer you. And when you apply, really what you need to focus on, apart from really like the idea potential, the impact, the scalability, is really also your team. So who is behind these projects? But these programs can be very competitive sometimes because there's not a lot. Yeah. And finally, impact investors. There's 3 impact investors that I put here, because so you do have, of course, angel investors. You might have, high net worth individuals that want to invest in this kind of social enterprises. I did meet some in the past. You do have also another trend, so successful impact founders that are like starting to be there. I know, for example, the founder of Ecosia invested. Now he created the World Fund as well, together with other investors, and he has been investing individually also on some more, for example, on the Vitel, I think, is a social business from Freiburg. They do a totally sustainable mobile phone. So like mobile services, right? Family offices as well. You do need contacts here, but there's a lot of family offices also in Germany that are like great. For example, also impact investors. We are one example, for example, like not that we are family office, but we did got funds from a family office, so personal funds from Unternehmerin. And then, of course, there's a lot of early stage impact funds that are developing. So I don't know if you follow Impact Shakers. They made a list of all the new impact funds that were generated from last year. So I'm going to share this list with you, but you can also find it online. And there you can really look for where do they focus on, the kind of like sectors and causes they focus on. But this could also be a really good source. What it's also here important is building relationships. So the cold writing, cold calling on LinkedIn, they receive so many that this doesn't work. So really try to see in what networks are they, where do you try to really build relationship with them, and try also to study them in a sense, like really see what it's important for them, and if this is aligned with what you're, of course, proposing as a social business. Here you really need to work on really strong pitch decks that highlight both the social returns and the social and climate returns, and then the financial returns, of course. And here's something that, for example, when you approach angel investors, you also get the answer, do you have some exit strategy, right? What are you going to do afterwards? I mean, like, if you create a social business, your objective is not to create something, get rich, and then, or maybe even, I don't know. But like here, try to think indeed like a story of why you're creating this more like in the bigger picture, and really bring those investors on board within your vision. And if you have already an exit strategy, just also like be clear on that in case. But usually we don't talk too much about exits in social business. Yeah, so here the amounts that you could get, 50K, 500K. I saw also like at the very, very beginning, of course, a later stage, of course, you can get up to millions. And try to understand also how much equity you want to give away, especially at the beginning. We always suggest to go slow, so don't give away a lot of equity. 3-5% at the very, very beginning, and then you can make like your considerations. Yeah. So I made also a list of all the different comparison advantages, cost disadvantage for each of them. So I hope it was useful. Give me some reactions. It was a bit maybe generic, but I hope it gave you some tips that are useful. Thank you. So one thing that I see a lot of time, people just asking for money and then totally being not clear about how they're going to use those money. And in social business, sometimes you do see it a lot. Okay, we need money because we need to pay. I need another person and I need to pay this person, for example. So a big mistake is also in social business to go out there fundraising without having a plan at all. So where do you want to be next year, in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And that's the same. So the kind of impact you want to achieve, and what do you need to get there, and what do you need to sell more to get there. So really try to be clear, because even if you get a lot of time, you think, okay, I just get a donation, I just get a grant, so it's just money, I'm going to do this and that, and you don't think about how that is going to really make you grow. That's a big mistake, because I see a lot of time that's you have this circle of dependency from these non-dilutive funds. And I saw also in some organizations within the ecosystem that this gets continuously created. So also sometimes in the organization supporting social business. So try to avoid making this mistake. Okay, do we have questions or points? In the end, I'm a bit slightly more early, but it's fine. Or points.
Maria, may I ask one question?
Please, yes.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. It was definitely enlightening. So I was actually wondering, so normally in a very normal setup, so let's not talk about social entrepreneurship, but like the generic entrepreneurship, you pitch your idea and stuff like that. So like specifically for impact investors, like
Yes.
how driven are they in terms of the returns, like 5x, 10x returns? Are these investors like more about the social impact driven part of it, or are they also like in terms of the generic return, they're also like quite aligned to the normal return steps?
I answer in one way, and then I'm curious also in case if Marcus has some additional points. So I think the difference is, first of all, in realizing that the returns come in a longer time.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see, for example, now climate tech, it has been booming because after several years, we have been seeing the financial returns as well. So I think the impact investor is more aware of, there's still, it also depends on the kind of impact investor, of course, because you might find family offices that just, want to create something good, and they might rather, give it more in the form of a donation, for example. We see a lot of companies that are creating big foundations, for example. But I think the difference is also like there's still an awareness on the financial risk, the financial returns, but on the longer term, because it takes time, and you focus also and also the way in which, for example, the returns are made is also taking into account the impact at the same time. So you might create return, but if you don't have an impact, it's also like not right.
So would you rather then suggest us to create pitch deck to show more the social impact viability rather than the financial return?
I'm going to show you how I would suggest to always structure the pitches, but you always need to show we have a problem, a social environmental problem here, show the entity of this problem, and that it's really like shocking. Like I always say, you really need to shock your investors. And then at the same time show, but look, there is also an opportunity. And that's how we're going to like create a sustainable business model that is also scalable. And that's also why it's very, very hard to build a sustainable social business, because you always have to navigate these two dimensions. And that's why I say, okay, be careful who you work with, be careful like the investors that you go to, because it's very easy to just get away from the impact side. Or maybe you end up having a very focused impact driven organization, but then in the end, it's so much dependent on donations and so much dependent on grants that it's also not sustainable.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know, Marcus, I see you put the video.
Yeah, maybe a short feedback from our experiences in that. Unfortunately, you have to do both. That's different mainly. So they want to have a financial structure from you, which is sustainable in this end, but either they have to be sustainable on the finance point of view, and on the other hand, you really have to have impact measurement and impact status, impact target, because they want to really see both. That's what we, and that's very important. So not only in the pitch deck, but either if you go farther with them, finally you have to deliver both a financial plan and a really impact plan.
Yeah. Can I take the chance, Marcus, that you're here unmiked, because you said something interesting there. So Marcus is the, how do you say, the big ambassador of Genossenschaft as a model. And it's not just Marcus, it is really a model that, for example, if you think about it in Bangladesh as well, right? The Grameen Bank, it's owned by the borrowers. So this model is not really so known in Germany, also because I think the bureaucracy to create it, it's crazy. But and that's why, for example, for social businesses, it's really hard to go with this model. But maybe do you want to say a couple of words about this model of Genossenschaft? I don't know, in English it would be the...
Yeah, I can do it for short and try to do it in English either. So cooperative will be
cooperative, yes,
the international name for it. And as I said, it's not too much known in Germany, unfortunately, because it really was grounded here, especially from Austria and Germany, because we have this Raiffeisen Bank thing, what you maybe know. And Raiffeisen was really the first one that ever did that. So it's not that far away from us. That's what I want to say. And it's really basic democratic thing. So it's the most basic democratic company model that we have. Because anybody, equal if he has 10 shares in you or if he has 1 share in you, they have at a general assembly, everybody has the same rights, everybody has the same allowance and the same amount of
decision rights.
Yeah, exactly. And that's difficult sometimes, at least in the founding process, because you have to found your company with more money than the other ones will give you. And you also have just one stake in that. So one voice. That's maybe one reason that you should have in mind, but I have seen you have a lot of people there with community business models. If you think on community business model, there is no better business model there.
And also, like sometimes for social businesses, we always like I was having this branding workshop with the cohort last time. Your consumers sometimes they become your biggest advocates. So if they can have a say in it as well, that's also a model that can really work for social businesses. Thank you, Marcus. I see Ridvan has a hand raised.
Yes, I have a short question. I just want to make sure I understood correctly. The question about what Max said, basically the expectation of 10x, 20x growth. Did I understand correctly that environmental impact or impact-driven companies, the investors are not that interested in that kind of growth? They are more interested in general the sustainability of the whole thing. Or to go back to that question, or do they still want like a 10x growth or something like that? Because Murray, you mentioned that they are not too interested in the whole exit topic. So if that's off the table or not that interesting to them, I'm guessing the 10x or 20x thing is also not that appealing to them.
So
As long as
it's more long term, because like these kind of investments can like last longer. So eventually maybe there is also this kind of expectations out of the X, but this goes together. So there are like metrics. Maybe I can also share with you a presentation from the World Fund, and that's the biggest, for example, impact fund we have in Europe, focused on these climate topics, for example. The way they measure these returns is combined with the impact, and eventually there's also a higher financial return, but you know that this financial return is going to come later, so you don't expect it from next year, in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, but it's going to come maybe like in 10 years or like longer. So and also it depends on the impact investor, it depends on the fund as well. So you do have financial returns expectations, but it's just combined with the impact and not more on the longer term.
Thank you.
And also it's continuously changing, because all of this, for example, like the fact that only in 2024 so many new impact funds were created, because like it's a continuously developed concept. There's, now we are a bit more like forward in terms of impact measurement, so we can also like put these metrics together with financial returns, but it's a continuous in modeling development. You can follow the World Fund, and the carbon equity is also a good example of these impact funds, for example. I hope I answered the question. Good. So now going into how to structure your pitch, so to also answer a little bit more your question, Max, and really articulate your investment case. And also here, it depends to who you're pitching to. So for some people, you might highlight some things, for some others. Here, I kind of like the 8 main aspects that I always suggest on how to structure your pitch, and maybe you might structure in a different way. But in social business and with whatever investor you're pitching, of the like 2 of the ones that we presented, the first aspect is really hooking them in on the problem. So really highlighting the entity of the size of the problem, and you hook them in a way that, like maybe it's a personal story, but that represents millions of people, or maybe, and that it's like, wow. Or maybe it's really showing really shocking numbers, because then you're not just solving, even if we always say start small, of course. Professor Yunus is always saying start by impacting 1 person, 2 people, 1 village, and then they go to more villages. But in the end, you need to show the systematic aspect. And this systematic approach is especially important if you're pitching for grants or foundations. Sometimes you do it in a different form. You don't do it with a flashy pitch. But in that case, it's really important to highlight this systematic impact. So really that this is something scalable in terms of impact. And here is more, you present your problem from the point of view of the impact that you want to generate, but also at the same time, a business opportunity. So there is something on the other side that is creating a problem for specific customers or users. Sometimes this is interlinked. So your customers are your beneficiaries, or that there is like a connection. So you need to find really the key to present the impact problem you're trying to solve and the problem from a business point of view in interlinked in one. And that's why it's very hard to build also like these impact pitches. Also because you tend to speak so much, right? Because it's just so much that you have to say. So we know with our entrepreneurs, it's always so hard to cut it into 3-minute pitch. So we're going to see how they did it, 2 of them, in a moment. And the moment in which you present your solution is really clear, straightforward, we always start from the value proposition. So in one sentence, I need to understand immediately how you're solving these problems and really having like a business model that is immediately understood. Because otherwise you lose if you start describing your solution with so many ways. It's something, for example, complex when you have to explain, for example, educational programs as you have, and then we have one program, and then we have this coaching program, and as we have this, you really lose your investors. So really being clear on how we do it with multidisciplinary programs. You need to really work on your value proposition, and then the objectives of this solution and how you create benefits for the users or your beneficiaries. So really the solution presentation you're going to see is the hardest part, and the business model as well, how it works, and that means how am I making revenues, and how is this being sustainable. So how is it then scalable, not only from a market opportunity point of view, but also from an impact point of view. How am I like increasing my impact at the same time? I just put some words there, but we're going to see them in the pitches. Really, really important here is showing your team and capabilities. If you have, so some people, for example, they put advisors, because sometimes it's good to have big names as advisors there, of course, but really what is important is your team as well. And rather just focus on the reason why you're so committed. So investors want to see very committed teams. And finally, in your ask, and your ask is always like bringing them on board. Sometimes, of course, you need investment. Sometimes you're pitching for partnerships as well, especially with companies. Be very clear on your ask and on your plan. So what I was saying before. So show always a roadmap. And then, we want to get here. So that's why we need this amount of money for this and this and this, like to build the factory, to create our prototype. So be very precise on your plan. I see, sorry, a comment in the chat. Yeah, it's Marcos answering to the previous question. Yes, thank you. Okay, so I wanted to really show you how this could be done. So I invited Pauline and Siva Prasad, two of our entrepreneurs today. Yes, and we can start with Pauline. So we're going to show you, and I didn't see the pictures. So what I really invite everybody is to listen to them as if you were maybe an impact investor. So provide feedback. So the reason why I invited them today is also to really get feedback, because we're building them for the final demo day, for which we will invite you all. And if you have questions, you can also ask questions. And Pauline is here. Yes. Hello, Pauline.
Hey, let me just share my screen and then we can jump right into it. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Hey, everyone. I'll be presenting our startup GreenMates today. And when we recognize the impact of healthy food on our society as well as on our planet, we set out to build GreenMates. So on the one side, we have the health aspect. Food is the slowest killer we choose every day. And 1.9 million deaths per year in Europe are linked to poor nutrition, mainly due to excess salt, sugar, and fat. And on the other side, we have the environmental aspect. 1/3 of all global CO2 emissions get emitted in the food industry, and yet no one really tells us what's on our plate and in our products. And to make it even more real, I want you to imagine yourself in the grocery aisle. There are so many products with so many information that we oftentimes do not understand. I just brought one example of a simple milk where you can already see 6 different labels. And this is why we want to create a world where healthy and smart food choices are as easy as unlocking your phone. And this is why we are building a one-stop shop solution. So with our solution, you always have your AI chatbot at your hand, who's always and can answer any question in regards to your personalized nutrition. We also give you a breakdown of your grocery run in regards to health and sustainability, and you can also log your food in regards to health and sustainability. Further, you can basically scan any product in the supermarket, we analyze it, and if it doesn't match your personalized goals, we suggest you even a better alternative. And any dish you cook, you can just simply take a photo, we give you the nutritional values, analyze how healthy and sustainable that dish was for you, and you can even log that food. And our USP is that we are combining health and sustainability goals, and that always on a personalized level. And we are creating unique data for the food brands because they are currently facing a black box. They do not receive any information once their products go to the retail in regards to their specific target group, who's buying their products, and why are they buying their products, and why they may not buy their products. And this is why we also monetize with the business side. And with that, we will achieve an ARR of 250K within the next 12 months. Regarding traction, we already have more than 600 downloads, all organically, with more than 45% of active users and 6 food brands that are already committed. Our first target market is Germany, where we have a market of 150 million euros. And we are currently raising a pre-seed round of 400K, which will give us a runway for 12 months. And with this capital, we will have integrated the AI flows, onboarded 50 food brands, gained 40K active users, and signed key influencers. Our team consists of Hannah, Ridwan, and I, and you can also see some advisors here. And yeah, feel free to follow us on social, of course, download our app, and also connect on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to chat and receive your feedback.
Wow, you made it in 3 minutes, really. Like,
Yeah, I was worried I would talk way more, but luckily
it's like an advertisement. Nice. So guys, if come on, if you want to share, like, how did you find the pitch? If you understood, if you have questions.
If I may.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Pauline, thank you. Thank you for the pitch. So I definitely understood like the personal impact your app does, and also the link for the beverage or the food industry. But one thing I was missing was the social impact part. For me, I don't know, perhaps it was too fast, but I did not grasp the social impact it had with your AI generated app. So perhaps something that I would perhaps like integrate a bit more on the social impact side.
Yeah, fair point. I think that could be elaborated more in the pitch. At the same time, I think it's difficult to put it in 3 minutes. Usually when you're with an investor, you have 8 minutes. So there you have then more time to also elaborate on that side. But yeah, regarding the social impact, maybe to wrap up your question. So essentially, what we are aiming to do with GreenMates is that socially we achieve a positive impact on our society by making it more healthy, so more people eat more healthy on a personalized level, because everybody has their own issues and not every solution works for the same people. So making it in a positive way in regards to the social aspect, in that way.
Okay. I think there's
a question
Philip.
from Philip. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Philip was first.
Yeah. Philip? We don't hear Philip.
Then let's go with Peter.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Sorry. Yeah, no, thanks, Pauline. I love the pitch. It was really cool. I was wondering regarding food regulations and so forth. When you give recommendations to your users on, like which products they should use and the nutritional values, is there any sort of regulation that you have to adhere to? And yeah, how do you make sure that it's sound in a legal way?
You mean in regards to what data we're using, or what specifically?
Yeah, because you said that you would recommend people like better solutions, or let's say better products than they are using right now, maybe. Well, if you're giving advice to them on that, like what is the regulation behind it? That's basically it.
Yeah. So basically what we do, so first you go through an onboarding in our app and you really set your personalized goals, allergies, and so on. Also what's important to you in regards to sustainability, and based on your personal goals, so health-wise and sustainability-wise, we suggest a better alternative. And when we suggest a better alternative, we actually work with our food brand partners together. So we only suggest alternatives where we are sure that they are truly better than the product you scanned, because we have this cooperation with the food brands and we receive the direct data from them.
Also, can I add to that, Paulina?
Sure.
I'm the co-founder. Hi. So we are legally not allowed to say one product is better than the other, but we always say this product fits you better than the other product or the product that you scanned. So it's only about making the right choice or the best choice or better choice for you, and not this product is better than the other. This product is better for yourself.
Cool. Thanks.
Something that is very challenging in this model that we were always like discussing is also the tracking of the environmental side. Because nutritional wise, maybe there is more information or you can add more, but on the climate side, it's so hard to track these products because entire supply chains to be tracked, and the data that then the score that it's given out is also very challenging to also provide.
Mhm.
I think Peter had a question. Hello,
Ja,
Peter.
eigentlich habe ich einen Kommentar. Was ich jetzt verstanden habe, fand ich großartig. Ein extrem potenzialreicher Konzept. Und die gute Nachricht, die ich vernommen habe, ist, ihr seid in Berlin. Ich bin auch in Berlin. Lass uns einfach mal connecten. So viel wollte ich jetzt einfach nur Zeit klauen im Moment.
Ja, sehr gerne. Ich schicke dir meine LinkedIn-Anfrage, Peter. Und ich glaube, wir haben auch letzte Woche schon mal telefoniert bezüglich des Office Spaces, ja.
Jo.
Super. Dankeschön. So do we go to the second? Thank you, Paulina. Thank you, Anna. I saw the pitch for the first time complete, so really good job. We have still the second pitch, and then Peter Spiegel is here to share some next steps because we are organizing something in Berlin. So with this, Siva, are you here?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Siva.
Hi.
So now we're going to see a pitch from more a company point of view. So I don't know if that's still the case, because these pitches are changing at the light speed. So go ahead, your floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen.
Sorry, in the meantime, there's some more questions in the chat for you, Pauline and Anna.
Can you hear me and
Yes.
see my screen?
Yes. Can you put it in presentation mode?
Yes, it's in presentation mode.
Okay, we don't see it in presentation mode, but it's fine. You can go.
Still?
Yeah, I don't see. Yes, now yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. So I am from NVGuide, your trusted partner for automotive sustainability transformation. So NVGuide is on a mission to revolutionize sustainability solutions for automotive industry through cutting-edge technology and data-driven insights. So I have over 10 plus years of experience into technology development, and I have spent more than half of my time in developing sustainability reporting, accounting of corporate to component level carbon accounting. And I have faced many hardships throughout my journey. And it is proved by McKinsey survey where 2/3 of sustainability managers believe the same. Nearly 3 out of 4 automotive OEMs believe that implementing sustainability strategies drives profit and brand value for the company. The top 3 challenges we are facing that German automotive industry is under immense mounting pressure to follow the regulatory frameworks, as it is contributing 15% of global GHG emissions. Only about 1 out of 10 companies accurately measure their carbon footprint. So over 2/3 of German OEMs face a major difficulties calculating their scope 3 emissions, which is supply chain emissions. Out of 5 suppliers identified a massive gap to understand and see an automotive specific solution is lacking. Having heard about the problems, we have a massive market opportunity, believing that Europe has seen 5.68 billion USD market last year, 2024, having a CAGR rate of 21.5% coming next 5 years. So we reach to 18.04 billion US dollars, which is a great phenomenal path. Having heard of a Europe journey, we can see Germany will start from 1.53 billion US dollars to reach around approximately $5 billion. So major contributing of 20% with compounding formula, 20% from the industrial sector. The German automotive sector is currently around 1.13 billion US dollars to reach around 4 billion US dollars in next 5 years. So to solve the problems, NVGuide has come up with 5 strategy solutions, which is corporate carbon footprint, product carbon footprint, supply chain transparency with a digital product passport, and consulting services, sustainability reporting and compliances. So with these solutions, we have divided into 2 revenue streams as we see SaaS-based subscription models and coupled with consulting services. Moving on to our wonderful team having a great capabilities in guiding the sustainability solutions for automotive industry. Myself having experience, as I mentioned, so more than 5 to 6 years of experience into automotive sustainability domain, holding master's degree into sustainability management, having a certified GHG accounting. So my CTO colleague, Sachin Anant, holds a master degree in energy management from KIT, skilled in LCA and GHG accounting certified candidate. Govardhan, who is taking off business development, holds environmental engineering degree, having a business growth aligned with sustainability goals. Yamini, who is a sales and marketing head, aligns teams and marketing strategies to enhance the brand image and impact. So now we call for action as we gear up for the rapid growth. We invite 400k euro from visionary investors to be a part of our journey. As we have used these funds, we are going to use these funds to accelerate product development, sales, and marketing. We have a first mover advantage in automotive sustainability platform, indigenous platform, scalable business with high market demand, strong compliance focus, coupled with consulting services as a revenue. Thank you for being part of this journey, and let's shape sustainable future together.
Thank you, Siva. Nice. That's also like it was a huge work done on the pitch, I think, with your mentor Mariah. But
Yeah.
nice to see it coming out. Anybody wants to start giving feedback, impressions? Otherwise, maybe I can start. So in your case, for example, at the beginning, I thought you were pitching more for. I see Marcus is also there. I just said maybe this. You were pitching more for companies, and then I saw that it was more like of an investment pitch. So I think then the structure was good. I think you spent a lot of time in giving numbers and describing a lot at the very beginning. So it was harder to grasp the flow and then the real connection on the real need afterwards. And then you spent very few words, of course, on the model and what you're offering and why is it important for the companies that you are targeting. So there I would really highlight the benefits that you're offering for companies in the sector, and really connecting it a bit better with the problem part. And then on the team side, you're right, you didn't have enough time. So in your case, you were a bit outside of the time. So try to kind of condense it a little bit. Just say really we have a strong team with the expertise needed in A, B, and C, and then it's fine, you know. But thank you, Siva. Great job. Marcus.
Thank you.
Great pitch. Thank you.
Hi, Marcus.
The
Good to
area
see you.
too. What I missed a little bit, it was very difficult to me to get a really idea what you offer in a fast way. So you described a lot around this whole area, which is good, but in a first try, it was quite difficult to understand what you want to offer in this whole thing, because it's a big thing, as you know, PCF and all of these things are products and sometimes companies for themselves. So maybe if you find a way to make this more clear, that would be helpful.
Yeah. And I just said on that one thing is that if you're talking to companies who already know those terms and those things, okay, but otherwise sometimes investors are not so deep into the technicalities as you are maybe. So you really always need to try to explain it in a simple way that it's straightforward.
Yeah, I consider the session.
And I see your chat has a, thank you, Marcus, has a hand also raised.
Yeah. Hi, Hojat here. You hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Siva, very good presentation. However, I would like to ask, or maybe suggest you maybe elaborate a bit on how you will do it, because I never got it. And basically that's elaborates your unique selling point. You got to your solution. I guess that was slide 3 or 4, but I never got to that how. I mean, me as an audience, not as an expert.
Yeah.
But kudos and good job.
Thank you.
Great. Do we have more comments? In general, so I really wanted to take, the chance, because both Pauline and Siva, thank you so much, Siva, they are pitching for Pauline has already pitched quite some times. You're just pitching this reviewed pitch now. But, it always helps to pitch and get feedback. And I always urge to don't take also, really take this feedback constructive, because it really helps to develop further the pitch if you have different audiences. So it's nice that we also have a very diverse audience here, because the clarity is very, very important with these very short pitches.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Siva.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any more question in general or comment or anything? Otherwise, I'm sharing back my presentation.
I think there are 1 or 2 questions in the chat. I don't know whether it's directly related to this pitch or not.
There was one related to the pitch of Paulina. There was one question of how is it easy to start a business from outside Germany? And here maybe Siva, you can ask, because you're based in India and you're trying to open your German subsidiary.
I'm still figuring it out. So I am not yet registered the company. I am still in the way to register the company, and it's a bit difficult because if you have a PR, I think then it could be a different case. But if you don't have a PR, because till last year December I was working in Germany, holds a blue card, and now my status has changing now, so it's a bit difficult. And if you have a partner who is co-founder or either German or holding a PR, then it could be a different scenario. But exactly like why exactly you want to enter into Germany, even though if I am based from India, because I have a reason that I will develop the technology, and the development team will be in India, and I will only come with a consulting and sales and marketing team in Germany. So the technology development team is very costly in Germany. That's the reason like I'm put them in India.
Yeah.
So there are different reasons. Yeah.
Thank you, Siva. Okay, so I mean, then anytime you're gonna have our contact, so you can reach out to us with any question. We're gonna, as I said, I'm gonna send you all the material, all the links. So I hope you enjoyed the session. So I really tried to condense in 1 hour and a half. I was really like like trying my best, like a topic that is of course so vast, and it's really like it needs to be tailored. So a lot of social businesses reach out, where can I find, I am a social in business, can you send me links to where I can find funders, etc. It's just like an ad hoc strategy, but I hope you could get a little bit of different glimpses how to talk to different investors, and especially impact investors. So I just wanted, if you can type in the chat, or if you want to share a couple of words on how you found the session, any feedback you have, that would be really, really helpful, because we are always, trying to structure this session also for future cohorts and audiences. So if anybody wants to share how you experience the session, main takeaways, that would be great. Unmic yourself or type it in the chat. Or you just let us know afterwards.
So maybe I can share something.
Please.
So I was actually maybe joining not knowing the topic much, because I'm very far from the overall, let's say, social entrepreneurship. So for me, it was quite interesting, was very surprised with a lot of topics. I did not know that the funding for such social initiatives is that big, and was really impressed also with the pitches by the colleagues. So very nice session and really appreciate it. So it was for me really exploring a word that I have no clue about. So really appreciate the session.
Thank you, Abdelhakim. Are you from the HfWU?
Yes.
Connected, right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marcus. I felt a little bit of pressure when I saw you, because we work very close with Marcus. But yeah, I know it was a bit fast, and it's a lot of stuff. But it was great to have you here. Nice. So anytime, I see Tanas, we're in Satful. Ciao, Tanas. I know you as well. And I'm glad it was refreshing to hear of opportunities. Thank you very much. Nice. We just wanted to leave, to invite you to some, if you wonder, some next steps. So I think, Peter, now is your time. This is deine Zeit. So we're organizing something here in Berlin.
Mhm.
Here we are.
Ja, also was ich jetzt mitbekommen habe, ich komme leider ein bisschen zu spät dazu. Das fand ich hochinteressant, die ganze Community der Menschen, die wirklich selber unternehmerisch etwas unternehmen wollen, um unternehmerisch Probleme zu lösen. Das ist, glaube ich, die Zielgruppe, die mich persönlich auch am meisten fasziniert. Deswegen habe ich in 3 Entwicklungsbereichen seit gut 20 Jahren aktiv mitgewirkt in der Welt der sozialen Innovationen, dann Social Business nach Yunus, und dann eben auch das Thema der neuen Skills, die wir brauchen, weil die Skills wie Imaginationskompetenz ist das, was eigentlich unseren Geist erst öffnet, in dem Maße, dass wir große Dinge mit kleinen Schritten zur Realität dann auch bringen können. Und deswegen also praktisch die Community bilden, ist für alle in diese 3 Sektoren, die ich genannt habe, der Schlüssel gewesen für den Erfolg. Also das Thema der sozialen Innovationen ist jetzt gerade vor wenigen Tagen in Deutschland so weit gekommen, vielleicht hast du es auch schon erwähnt, Maria, dass in dem Koalitionsvertrag steht, dass jetzt die Gelder, die auf sogenannten nummernlosen Konten bei Banken sind, ja, die werden in anderen Ländern schon längst eingesetzt für soziale Innovationen. In diesem Koalitionsvertrag steht es auch in Deutschland drin. Und da geht es um Milliarden Summen jährlich. jedes Jahr. Das ist eine Riesenchance auch möglicherweise eben auch für eure Arbeit, die jetzt hinzugekommen ist. Aber um genau sich da zurechtzufinden und die richtigen Wege zu gehen, bedarf es grundsätzlich immer Community Building, gute Community Building, ähm, genau. Und zu dem Thema der Verbindung von sozialen Innovationen, Social Entrepreneurship, Social Business und den Skills, da freut mich, dass wir von Friends of Social Business und auch von meinem Institut, das ich daneben noch habe, das WeQ-Institut, dass wir da jetzt eine Initiative, einen Vernetzungsgedanken aufgreifen und nach Deutschland bringen können, das von Yunus initiiert wurde. Das ist das Thema 3-Zero Clubs zu bilden. Wer Design Thinking kennt, die Zauberzahl ist dort 5. Wer von über Yunus etwas weiß, weiß, dass eben dort Gruppen von 5 Personen gebildet wurden und so funktionierte dann das große Geheimnis der Mikrofinanz, um Millionen Menschen aus der Armut zu Unternehmern zu machen in Bangladesch. Deswegen ist auch für diese Gedanken die 3-Zero Clubs in Deutschland zu etablieren, arbeitet mit 5er-Teams und weltweit auch. Inzwischen gibt es diese 3-Zero Clubs in 60 Ländern mit 25.000 Menschen, die daran teilnehmen. Und dann eben geteilt durch 5 sind es 5.000 Clubs, die sich aufmachen, gemeinsam an kreativen Lösungen zu arbeiten und praktisch die Umsetzungsarbeit von ihren Ideen dann auch selbst in die Hand zu nehmen, Selbstverantwortung in die Hand zu nehmen. Und dazu gibt es die Homepage, die steht jetzt hier nicht drauf. Das ist Friends of, zusammengeschrieben, dann die Ziffer 3.de. Friends of 3-Zero, pardon. Friends of 3-Zero.de. Das ist eben diese Initiative, das in Deutschland zu starten, zu sehen. Und das nächste große Startevent dazu ist eben dieser 3-Zero Innovation Creathon, der am 16. Mai in Berlin stattfindet. Wer sich in Berlin auskennt und am Brandenburger Tor schon mal war, hat vielleicht auch gesehen, dort gibt es ein Konferenzzentrum der besonderen Art, Axica, eine Sky Lounge gibt es. Und dort wird dieser 3-Zero Innovation Creathon stattfinden, Auftaktveranstaltung. Und auf der Website findet ihr dann bei den 3-Zero Innovation Creathon das Programm, das Konzept, wie wir das eben angehen wollen. Das soll schon vor dem 16. Sollen dann eben sich 5er-Teams auch schon organisieren können. Wenn Sie zu den Challenges, die wir dort auf der Seite beschrieben haben, die wir uns ausgesucht haben, die, wenn man so will, auch übergreifend große Themenfelder in eine neue Dimension führen sollen. Zero Waste ist ein ganz Schlüsselthema, vielleicht das Wichtigste im Augenblick auch, das in Deutschland nochmal auf eine ganz andere Ebene zu finden. Und was ich so mitbekommen habe, einige eurer Projekte sind ja gerade auch in diesem Themenfeld dabei. Das Besondere an diesem Netzwerk, das mit den 3-Zero Clubs verbunden ist schlicht und einfach, dass da im Hintergrund eine Community stark mitwirkt, die es geschafft hat, bahnbrechende, weltverändernde Problemlösungen durch Businesses zu machen. Das ist die Yunus Community. Viele kennen davon nur die Grameen Bank, wissen nicht, dass Yunus selber in Bangladesch mehr als 100 weitere riesengroße Unternehmen in dieser Qualität entwickeln kann. Also der Zugang und die Vernetzung mit Projekten, wo das ein Hintergrund ist, glaube ich, ein ziemlich einzigartiger Plus. Das Zweite, dass man sich die Zusammenarbeit mit anderen Gruppen, die Clubs, die dann eben sich auch ein Thema ausgesucht haben mit ähnlichen Ideen, kann man sich über die Plattform, die hat eben den Zugang, wenn man sich dort angemeldet hat, ist das eben 30.club. Und diese Vernetzungsmöglichkeit ist eben sehr frei, für themenbezogen, lokalbezogen, für Zusammenarbeit, für ergänzende Aufgabenfelder, für selber dann Untergruppen von Communities aus diesen 5000, die schon dabei sind, zu bilden. Also und damit eben weltweit selber auszustrahlen, die eigenen Ideen präsentieren zu können und aufzunehmen in Lernprozessen. Das ist, glaube ich, das sind die zwei wesentlichsten Dinge, die sich dort auszeichnen. Und schaut euch das an. Ich würde mich sehr freuen, ein kleiner Zuckerl, wenn man so will. Das ist mehr als das. Wir werden
Danke, Peter. Ja.
ja, die dann sich, bei die ersten 1000 bekommen dann einen kostenfreien Zugang zu einem Online-Lernkurs nach Yunus Worten und von Einstein, sehen das alle genauso, der Imaginationskompetenz. Kostenfrei den Zugang zu einem hochkarätigen Kurs, die ersten 1000, die sich dann in Deutschland anmelden. Ja, herzlichen Dank.
Thank you, Peter. I try to summarize and translate on the chat for those who maybe don't speak German. Thank you so much. So we wanted to, alles good, thank you. We wanted exactly from the Friends of Social Business also, there's some other things going on. So to take the chance, I know it's already 8 minutes late already, but I wanted to give you really the time to present this hackathon because it's going to be launched now. And follow our social media. There's going to be new programs. I'm going to send you all the material. I'm trying to move the slide. So for the people in the cohort, if somebody's still there, we have our next workshop on pitching on the 30th of April. Otherwise, everybody is invited on the 15th of May, so the day before the Creathon. We're going to have our demo day with all the entrepreneurs in our cohort pitching at the Cambridge Innovation Campus here in Berlin. So I'm based actually in Berlin. Zukunft.Gründen is based close to Stuttgart, but you're all welcome, very invited to join us. With this said, I think I send you. I wish everybody a good evening. Keep in touch.
Yeah, and also from HfWU Entrepreneurship Roundtable, thanks a lot, Maria. Thanks for hosting this, and also thanks a lot for all the startups for doing the pitches. It was really, really interesting. And in case you guys have any questions, also reach out to us. Also the Entrepreneurship Roundtable and also the HfWU Entrepreneurship Center. We're happy to help, happy to answer all the questions. So yeah, so also from our part, thank you. Thanks a lot, and see you in the future.